Hey guys, so this is going to be my, what month even is it? February wrap up and March TBR, where I go through the books that I read in February and tell you really quickly what I thought about them, and then go through the books that I'm planning to read in March. And yes, I am doing this at just a couple of days before the halfway point for March. I don't have a good reason for that, except for the fact that I've just been writing a lot lately and doing almost nothing else. Well, I've been doing school stuff, but when I'm not doing school stuff, I've pretty much only been writing or beta reading for people, and so I haven't done anything else, and that's why this hasn't happened yet. But I've been doing these every month for I don't even know how long at this point, and I don't want to break it. So despite it being halfway through March, this is going to happen. Oh, and also one more quick thing. I just got back from spring break yesterday, and so I took all the books I read home, so I don't have any of them with me. Just my TBR books, but I think most of them were on my Kindle anyway, so that's not going to really make a difference. The first book I read in February was on my Kindle. It was Paper Glass by A.R. Ivanovich, which was the second War of Princes book, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. Then I read The Witches, Salem 1692 by Stacy Schiff, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. It was a nonfiction book about the Salem witch trials, which I feel like is a period of history that I find fascinating, and I think the book did a really good job of making it seem like a story, but you know that it's real historical fact. It was a very informative book and at the same time very easy to read. And then I read Monarch by A.R. Ivanovich, which was the third War of Princes book and the last one that I read in February, and again I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I have read the fourth book at this point, but it's the only book that I've finished so far this month, so I'm not going to talk about it in my wrap-up, but I just really loved the first 3 books in the series. I'll hold off on talking about the fourth book, although I have reviewed it on my blog already, so there's that. And then I finished the Longman Anthology of British Literature, Volume IB, The Early Modern Period, by David Damrosch, who I'm assuming is the editor or one of the editors. His is the only name listed on Goodreads, and like I said, I don't have the book to see if there are other names, but I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a really good literature book for that time period. Not that I know a ton about the early modern period of British literature in order to say that it's like a good textbook for that, but I enjoyed reading it, and those 4 books were the only 4 books I read in February, which is a lower number than has like become typical for me, but is more along the lines of how many books I used to read before like the past like year or so. I started like reading much quicker because I would read multiple books at a time, and I've kind of gone back to only reading 1 book at a time, and so I'm kind of like taking them slower. Or not so much slower. I'm reading that 1 book at the same pace I would read it otherwise, but I'm not reading another book at the same time. So less books this month. But I also lowered my reading goal on Goodreads for that very reason. That just is even more along the lines of I've been doing nothing but writing recently, including not quite as much reading, but I have read some really good books, especially in February. So I don't feel too bad about it. Like I already mentioned, I have read 1 book in March already. I'm gonna go ahead and make my TBR 5 books, which is something that I've met for quite a while recently, but like I said, with like me slowing down and reading and everything, I don't know if I'm actually going to read 5 books this month, especially since we're almost at the halfway point and I've only read 1, but I'm gonna stick with the 1 that I finished and then 4 more books. And hopefully I can reach that, but I'm not all that confident. We'll see what happens. But the 1 book that I've already read is the 4th book in the War of Princes series, which was called Last Land by A.R. Ivanovich, like the other books. And I won't go into detail about what I thought of it, although like I said, I've already reviewed it on my blog, but I'll include it in next month's wrap-up. But it was the fourth and final book in the series, so I finished that this month and finished that series. And then the book that I'm currently reading is Little House on the Prairie from A to Z, which is a like book that has like the alphabet and it has things that go along with that letter of the alphabet from the TV show. I have no idea if that was in frame or not, but it's like, this came in, I have like the entire series on DVD, but I just like recently got the season that this was in, which is 9 maybe. It hasn't been that recently that I got it, but I like just opened it and this was in that season. I can't remember the number, but it's Little House A New Beginning is what the season is. So like the last season. I didn't know that this book was in it until I opened the DVDs and found the book, but I decided to read it. It's not like it's like anything significant, it's just like short little things for like each letter of the alphabet. I'm mostly done with it already, I think. But I just decided to read it because it was there, and why not? And then the next book that I plan to read as soon as I get through this is a review book that I got from NetGalley, which is, I should also mention, is where all of the War of Princes books came from. I got those for review through NetGalley. And then I have Seasons of the Sword #1, Rizoko in Japanese, and I'm trying really hard to figure out how to pronounce it. Theoretically, I should know, but I'm feeling pressured and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But it's by David Cudler. I downloaded this at least a month ago now. I downloaded it at the same time as like all 4 of the War of Princes books, so I'm kind of blanking on what this book is about. It takes place in Japan, of course. Whatever it was about, it drew my attention. I don't really know much about it. I hope that it's good. I don't really need to start a series because like with War of Princes, the reason why I even read it in the first place was because I could get all 4 books, and it was a great decision because I loved those books. But this time I only have the first book, so starting another series may be a terrible idea, and I told myself I wasn't gonna like do that this year, and that hasn't gone so well. And confession time here. I had like another British literature anthology that I was going to read after that, but looking through all of my things right now, I think I left that at home, which I'm going home on Easter weekend and can get that book. Hopefully I don't forget it, but I think because obviously I have like 3 volumes of like the same British literature like set thing, anthology thing, and I think I got confused about which ones I'd read and which ones I hadn't, and I left the one that I hadn't read at home. So I'm gonna try and figure that out when I go home for Easter, and I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and say that that's on here. I can't remember which period it's on. The one that I finished reading was the early modern period, and so it would be the anthology that came immediately after that, but I don't remember what it's called, and obviously I don't have it right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and consider that to be next on my TBR because I thought about skipping it, but I am going home on Easter, and I probably won't even get past the other books on my TBR before Easter break. I might end up skipping it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say that that's the next book on my TBR. And the last book on my TBR is another one from NetGalley, which I also downloaded at the same time as the others because I just kind of went crazy one of the days and downloaded like 6 books. It's 15 Lanes by S.J. Laidlaw, which I remember even less about than the other one. I cannot for the life of me remember what this book is about at all. The book's dedicated to girls who, it says, how can I dedicate a book to girls who may never have the freedom, education, or leisure to read it? How can I not? I'm assuming the book is somehow about girls who can't get an education, who can't learn to read, and things like that. But that's all I know, and I can't remember which sounds like something that would have drawn me in, but I can't remember anything beyond that. But I do get the impression from the names and what I'm reading right now, and also the artwork on the cover. I think this takes place in India, which, now that I think about it, sounds right and sounds like something that I was reading. But like the combination of this art and then the names in the first couple of pages, I think it takes place in India. Either way, I'm excited to read it because something about it drew my attention at the beginning, and hopefully it's good. So I'm gonna keep my TBR there for now. I will probably not get through all of these books. We'll see though. And I will see you guys later. Bye.